the year came when I got the promotion, got the salary increase, got the bonus. Everything started making sense, but then I was so unhappy. And I quit my job. I got divorced.
Oh, wow.
This is getting really personal, but I guess that's why we're here, so sharing stories. Hi, I'm Cien. I'm the co-founder of Launch Lemonade, and we are on a mission to democratize access to AI agents to small to medium-sized businesses who are non-technical.
There's a lot of uncertainty, and uncertainty, as we know, causes a lot of stress and anxiety. And I don't know if you've heard this stat, but how many ever jobs are going to be lost, but there's so many more jobs that are going to be created, which we don't even know of today, in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
And ChatGPT and OpenAI changed the world, and now things are just becoming more and more.
When the language models came out, ChatGPT came out, I was like, it's so cheap. You no longer need a 30 engineering team or $250,000 budget to deliver something profound to change a business. The economy will run on AI agents. How will the non-technical Gen Z who wants to become an entrepreneur or the person who needs to become an entrepreneur to help make money participate? There needs to be a platform where it's going to be so easy to build and monetize from AI agents. And that is our vision. Now, how we're making this happen now with our MVP is
Hi, Cien. Welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me. This is such a refreshing space. I love the mission that you've shared earlier as well. So yeah, glad to be here.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for the kind words and compliments. I mean, it's been a long time since, it's like I was telling you as well before the pod, this is like my third attempt to doing a podcast. And this time around I said, okay, let me really invest in the studio, in a team, so that I push myself in a corner. And hopefully that somehow innately pushes me not to back down, because things it just takes time. Everything just takes time. And consistency is so important. So this is the only way for me to stay on track.
It pushes you.
It does, absolutely. I love your company name, by the way. I love your company name. I mean, where did the brand name come from?
So we were originally called GPT-Host.io.
Oh, wow.
So
that's a big change.
Yeah. I was thinking when we named the company, I was thinking I want to be SEO ready. GPT is going to be this thing. So we were thinking about this end of 23. The idea of a GPT marketplace wasn't really a thing yet. And we were like, let's be smart and call it GPT Host, because people will eventually warm up to this name. But then OpenAI issued a statement that they were going to trademark GPT. They never have, but we were like, let's play it on the safe side. Like, how do we have a brand that is defensible? I like lemons. My co-founder liked lemons. We were thinking Apple, Spotify, what are these names? And we went with Launch Lemonade, like launching your first AI lemonade stand.
I love that. I think I have a similar story, because our business is Plum. And it also came from the premise where I'm like, all these big companies in the world like Apple and Orange and Mango, these are fruit names, and they became such large companies. I'm like, oh shit, I want to have a company which is like a fruit name. And then I started researching which fruits help you with stress and anxiety, because we started off as a mental health company, now HR, but which fruits help you with stress and anxiety? Plum actually helps you lower your stress and anxiety levels. Then I went to register the name. I just couldn't find Plum with a single M.
Yeah.
So in the true startup spirit, I just added another M just because of domain complexity. So I appreciate the commonality between our businesses and the business names. Talk to me about your immigrant journey. Where are you originally from, and how and when did you move to the UK?
So I'm originally from the Philippines, born and raised in the Philippines, in Davao City, which is the third biggest city in the Philippines, but it's down south. So you've got three major there's 7,000 islands in the Philippines.
Wow, 7,000.
But there are three big islands that are that share the majority of the area of the Philippines. And I am from the biggest island, which is called Mindanao, and there's a tiny city on the coast, beach city called Davao City. That's where I'm from. When I was growing up, I was quite different. I stood out. I was bullied and I was made fun of, but I had a very strong personality that I didn't want to be just everyone else. I didn't want to be a doctor, lawyer, and my parents, obviously, my mom said doctor, my dad said lawyer. And I just wasn't the type to pursue that. I wanted to be a writer and I wanted to travel the world. And so I moved out when I was 20 years old. So I finished uni and I moved out when I was 20 years old, traveled around the Philippines, but then I moved to the States for a few years. I lived in Washington, D.C. I was a summer camp counselor, babysitter, dog sitter, name it. Like I've done it. And then I met really cool people in DC who have traveled the world just by teaching English. And so I took a TEFL course, which teaching English as a foreign language. Took the course in Georgetown. It was like the most expensive TEFL course you'll ever take, but I did it in Georgetown University. Like really met so many cool people who did it as a living. And then I moved to China.
Mm.
So after a couple of years in the States, I moved to China for a few years and taught English.
Wow.
I moved up and down the east of China from Hangzhou to Hefei to Shijiazhuang. Really lived that life because when you were a teacher in China 10 years ago, everything was free. Your board, your rent, your food, bills. So you got your stipend and
Wow.
you used that for to do
Wow.
things that you wanted. So I enjoyed that. And then I met a boy who happened to be British. And the plan was to go visit the UK and visit the Philippines, but then go back to China because I had a university job in a different city because I really wanted to travel around China. But then we got an opportunity to move here in the UK, and that was that. So I've been here for the past 10 years. Now I and the boy are not together anymore.
Okay.
But yeah, I've been here the past 10 years.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, how did you move here though? So, I mean, you moved here on like a student visa or like, I mean, like a work visa or, I mean,
Yeah, I moved here with a fiance visa.
oh,
And I got
I didn't even know that exists.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So I don't know if it still exists.
Okay. It's like a partner visa.
Yeah,
Okay.
partner visa.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that was that.
Interesting. Okay, wow. Well, that's an amazing story. So China, did you have a language barrier then when you were in China, or do you speak Cantonese or Mandarin?
Mandarin.
You speak Mandarin. Oh,
A little bit. But if you're an English teacher, so in the world of TEFL, they had this thing where you immerse the students with the language. So they prefer it when the English teacher doesn't
Gotcha.
speak Mandarin to the students. They just speak English, and then the students would have to just copy the teacher. So it wasn't a barrier to not know Mandarin.
Got it. Okay, understood. And if it wasn't for your ex-partner, was UK ever on the horizon? Like, I mean, did you ever want to move to the UK?
Back then, I thought that I was going to be living everywhere in the world. The UK wasn't on the list. Like, it wasn't like on my list, I was going to move to Europe next.
Okay.
And then I already had contacts in South America, in Africa. So that was like the journey in my head. I was like, all right, I'm going to move around the world, really see the world, learn about the world, and we'll see what happens. Might be dead. But I didn't have, and I never have. I never had a sight on a place or I didn't have a life vision. I just knew that I wanted to live.
I love that. You don't have a life vision, but you just wanted to live.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm gonna steal that, by the way. I love that. But so you moved here, and then expectation versus reality. Was there any expectation before you moved here, or was it easy, difficult? Your shift. I'm guessing maybe relatively easier because you had a person from here. Like, I mean, he was British, right?
Yeah.
Or he is British.
He is
so
British.
yeah. No, thank God for that. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. Any
Before moving here, I feel like I've had an easy life in terms of I come from a privileged background. Not that we're rich, but my parents were very caring and generous, and they sent me to masters, and if I wanted to do a course, they'd pay for it, and if they wanted to travel, like when I said I wanted to move to China, they were like, all right, what do you need? Or when I said I want to go to the States. I was very privileged in a sense that my parents supported my grand ambitions of just living, but they had ambitions for me.
Right.
So before moving to the UK, I lived that privileged life. I surfed. I just, like did odd jobs to earn a little bit, but didn't really have I really didn't do anything with my life. I kind of just enjoyed it in my 20s because I wanted to be a writer. And the thought of being a writer, I was like, I need to experience and then write. That was
Yeah.
that was what life meant then. But then when I turned 28 and I was like almost 30, I'm 38 now, I'm old. But when I turned 28, I said, you know what, I'm bored of kind of like this fun, just easygoing life. Like I kind of envied my younger siblings, my parents who were very ambitious and hardworking, and my friends who were now doctors and lawyers. I was like, maybe I should do something with my life. Maybe it's time to build a career. And I was always skilled at tech. I've been building websites since I was 11. I edited videos when I was 11, 12 for school. Like that was always my thing. I was quite techie. And it took courses in uni. Like I studied media basically, and I've always been adept in my understanding of the internet and how it worked. Um, so I was like, you know what? If I did pursue a career, it'll be in digital, whatever it is. It'll be in digital. That's all I wanted to do. So when I moved to the UK, it was hard to find a job because I didn't have job experience. I was like a teacher, or I would have job at free, like I did freelance work that was copywriting or website building or whatnot, but I didn't have credible experience. And here in the UK, they wanted that experience. Like you have had to have experience in working digital to be in digital. So I kind of hacked my way. So I did a bit of freelancing. I did courses in Leeds College, took illustration, like updated my skills in tech with the Adobe suites and whatnot. Premiere, because I used to use Final Cut Pro, things like that. So little things to update my skill and refresh my skill. And I volunteered for Oxfam as an e-commerce platform manager and social media manager. Used that volunteering experience and then applied for a social media role in the company. And that was that. I became a manager that same year. So after volunteering that same year, became a manager for a small company, and then moved to another company, became a product owner in fintech.
Oh, wow.
And then had a big kind of long successful stunt as a lead product manager in fintech. Built a lot of models in machine learning, and used AI for example, the first chatbot that I integrated in a product was in 2018, before ChatGPT was a thing. And I managed a team of 30 engineers in a heavily funded startup. Worked for Veggie Studio. Just really moved my career along, exposed myself to the startup world. And here we are.
That's amazing. So was starting a business always, again, like an inspiration? Is anyone in the family or friends around you who are entrepreneurs, or this is just something that happened by chance?
Both my parents are entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
My dad ran away when he was 11 and made a career. I don't know how he did it, but he sent all of his kids to private school, really successful in his own right. So we've always been entrepreneurial. My first business was selling brownies when I was 7 years old. When I was 13, I hired my aunt to cook lunch boxes, and then she would deliver the lunch boxes and I would sell them.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't successful. That wasn't successful. But I've always had that entrepreneurial kind of spirit. I've always been curious. So yeah, I guess I've always had it in me, but I got really into this career idea that I had. So when I decided I wanted a career, I got so into it. I got addicted to working, and I got so focused into being successful. And so I guess I got so focused into like learning all of these skills, and eventually kind of went back to kind of that entrepreneurial spirit by using all the skills that I knew and pursuing something that I was really curious about.
And how did you know that was the time that, okay, I'm gonna stop going or growing in the corporate ladder, or not, maybe, I don't know, startup ladder, and then start something by yourself?
That's a really good question. And this is getting really personal. But I guess that's why we're here, is we're sharing stories. I went through a separation. There was a year when I was really successful at work. I was getting all the accolades. I got a really big salary increase. I got big bonus. It was the year. It was like the year that everything culminated for me as the volunteer social media person at Oxfam, to like working really hard, negotiating salaries, beating all the odds. And then the year came when I got the promotion, got the salary increase, got the bonus. Everything started making sense, but then I was so unhappy.
Hmm.
And I quit my job. I got a divorce.
Oh, wow.
Pretty much the same 2 months. And then I moved to another job that didn't work out because I was just like everywhere. And then my mentor, Andy AM, who is quite prolific in the London startup scene, I kind of just said, you know what, Andy, I just need to follow you around for a bit.
Mm.
And I just need to understand what I'm really curious about. Now, I've had loads of projects in big data, using big data and building customer experiences in mobile apps and web apps. And so I wanted to use that curiosity, but for something that was bigger than me. I wanted to be obsessed with something else. And when the language models came out, ChatGPT came out, I was like, it's so cheap.
Hmm.
You no longer need a 30 engineering team or a $250,000 budget to deliver something profound to change a business. And so that same year, I started hosting hackathons in my living room, in a kitchen, with my engineering friends. And I was determined to build something. I was like, I'm going to build something that I'm going to be so passionate about. And then I met my co-founder through a friend who knew I was doing these hackathons. And then she said, you got to meet this guy. You're going to build something amazing. We locked ourselves in a WeWork room, and 2 weeks after, launched an MVP.
Wow. You think there's a correlation between you going through that breakup and you quitting your job to what you've built today?
100%. I wouldn't be here without that, because I got so passionate and so into this building
Hmm.
mindset that wasn't mine. Like I was in fintech. The first product that I built was a debt collections tool. It was so unsexy, but I was so into it. And I learned so much about behavioral sciences, economics, and data. And I got so obsessed with it as an employee. But, like there was something missing. And I guess, yeah, I kind of grew out of myself. And that's why I guess I quit the job. I quit the best job. I quit a relationship, and I was ready for something new. And definitely was this was an amalgamation of all the things that happened in the past few years.
And you think there was an alignment between the advancement in ChatGPT and this couple of years ago? Because before OpenAI, ChatGPT, your language models, or everything that we had access to wasn't as seamless, convenient, or cheap. ChatGPT and OpenAI changed the world, and now things are just becoming more and more. So if that did not happen, you think, again, would there be a correlation between you quitting the job and your breakup?
I was already advising startups, and I was already actually I was a Techstars mentor. I had a startup that I was advising heavily. I became their co-founder eventually. I was reinvested in another startup in fintech. My mission before was doing something around the financial literacy gap because I was in fintech, and I was quite adept in with my language in terms of debt investments, but I myself didn't invest. I only started investing during the pandemic, and I realized like there's such a big gap between the genders in terms of who invests, who saves, who's building generational wealth. And I learned this through the previous startup that I was a co-founder of and through angel investing school, which I was a part of. There are many pockets of experiences that kind of got really me thinking into financial literacy and the financial literacy gap. When the language models came out, it shifted to financial literacy gap to AI economy gap, AI literacy gap. I was like, if this happened because women weren't taught the financial vocabulary and the skills to be able to compete in this world where, investment, if a woman and a man broke up later in their years, man is more likely to succeed and have a better financial situation, and the woman isn't. And that's based on actual studies. Now, I imagine because of how AI is playing out now, and if women and people who didn't have access to AI would be left behind, they'd lose their jobs, they don't know how to monetize from it, there's going to be a huge gap. So it kind of the same passion of creating equity and creating space and access for people who are underserved, but from investments to AI. I don't know if that answered your question.
It does, and of course, I can see the correlation between them. So I mean, if it wasn't for AI and the movement around the new models that came out, then you would have gone into the other route.
Financial
But
literacy.
the underlining or premise would have been kind of similar.
Same.
So it's trying to bridge that gap, narrow that gap, and then okay, makes sense, and completely answers the question. So okay, so what does your product do? Like, I mean, what can I do and learn, and I mean, how does it help me as an end user?
So we want the ability to monetize from the language models as easy as pie or making a lemonade, as we say. Right now, we're using and consuming the language model. So we're paying ChatGPT or Claude subscriptions, and we're using it smartly, making us more efficient, and maybe we're able to produce more. But there's no clear way of how do we build products around this easily without needing a tech team or technical expertise. How do we build products around these so that we can actually make money from this? So we're going by the vision that in 5 years' time, people are going to be losing their jobs, and
It's already started.
It's already started. Gen Zs, 75% of Gen Zs are expressing wanting to become entrepreneurs.
Wow.
So if we add those up, everyone either will want to become an entrepreneur or will have to become an entrepreneur to still have a livelihood by 2030. So how will that happen in the time of AI agents? So in a world where the economy will run on AI agents, how will the non-technical Gen Z who wants to become an entrepreneur or the person who needs to become an entrepreneur to help make money participate? There needs to be a platform where it's going to be so easy to build and monetize from AI agents. And that is our vision. Now, how we're making this happen now with our MVP is we've created a no-code platform where you just press buttons, upload things, connect, like actually type in English, allowing you to utilize the language models or a set of language models where you can build an agent by building an ecosystem around that language model, such as your knowledge base, your scraped websites, your tone of voice, your brand. and then allow you to deploy that and white label that and sell that and monetize from that.
I love that. And okay, so before how the reception has been, um, I love your socials, by the way, and I did say this before the pod. Like, I think you're doing a great job with your personal brand, and I love the videos that you make. I'm actually envious of the videos. I'm going to take a few tips after we finish this pod. But before your attention, how you're grabbing that. Now, again, from a user perspective, is the starting point also? I mean, I appreciate it's no code, and I can just come in and I can do that. But I think so us within the space, I feel anxious every single day, and we're working with large language models, and we're building our own, like we have a very complex tech stack. And I just feel, oh my God, like every single day there's a new news, and I'm like, how do I keep up? So I appreciate that gap, and how that gap is just going to keep on increasing in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But then already there's a lot of gap. And then when people come onto your platform, how seamless or easy is it for me as a layperson just to come and just understand? First of all, I think educating the market is very difficult. And because things are moving at this rapid speed, how do you tackle that first problem? Like, if I land onto your space, onto your marketplace, like how do you educate me? What do I need to do, and how do I need to do it? No matter how simple it seems for me and you.
No matter how simple it seems for me, I get messages all the time, like the first principle of our product is make it as easy as pie. That was our first tagline, but it isn't. And we're bootstrapped. We're a bootstrap company with no UX designers. We're going by our history of having built mobile apps and web apps based on our learning. So we've had to make a lot of assumptions, and as much as our goal is user friendliness, you're right. People have to be educated, not only with the ability to use a no code, but make it like, what product do I build? What AI tool or solution do I build in the first place? So there's a lot of education piece attached to the product, and that's why we built an ecosystem. We're building an ecosystem around the product. That's how we've been able to hack our presence now. So what we've done is, instead of investing heavily in market research, as you should, because it was so cheap to launch an MVP, we just launched it and started talking about it on LinkedIn and Twitter. And then we attracted who we attracted and learned from the feedback that they got, put them in a WhatsApp channel, and then we grew them to a weekly masterclass in Luma.
Amazing.
And then we are now putting them in a newsletter as well. And we're and we have a YouTube channel, and we're just educating around the product using these basically channels that we're using as our growth loop, whatever you call that ecosystem. But it's an ecosystem we're building to educate the people how to use the product as well, and not just how to use a product, but also how to use AI. Understanding of AI agents and how to participate in the economy. So like just at noon, our masterclass was around how to sell your AI SaaS product. Because if we teach you, we can teach you how to build, but if you don't know how to sell, you're still not able to participate.
Correct. It's so interesting you say that. And that's why I was curious, that piece in particular, because I believe, and it'll be nice to hear your opinion on that. I believe we're sitting at a very unique point of time in life where productization or building a product, I don't know, is not as valuable as it used to be before. Because let's say if we're two different founders, let's say in the same niche, you've got 5 engineers, I've got 5 engineers. It really depends on the quality or the level of hard work or competency of my engineer versus your engineer, so that we come out with a better product. So the product held a lot of value. I'm thinking as we progress, you have a lot of no code, or not just no code. I mean, obviously we've reached a different level where I can just prompt and like boom, I have a product in front of me, and that's only going to get better and better. So essentially, we kind of have the same code. We kind of have the same engineers behind us. So really, it's that whole flywheel of information and education, and then finally attention that is going to be much more valuable than the actual product, because you can have the best. Essentially, you and I have the same engineers making the same product, so it's the best product. But then the education and the attention will hold that much more value. If you don't have that, then really the product doesn't really mean anything.
True and not true. So the reason why I say it's true is in the old world. In the old world of VCs and having to be funded, let's say there are two founders who are as uh, equally adept at pitching, but then if you're pitching to a Y Combinator or something like that, then it will be down to your technical expertise. Like and that the more technically adept and like a viable, not viable is not the word, but yeah, that I guess better from a technical perspective will likely get funding. And if you get funding, you then are able to go to market. So yes. But then if you think about the mom and dad shop, like the small to medium sized businesses, these businesses, like no matter how much edge you have from a technical perspective, growth relied on marketing and sales. And basically it's gonna be the same. Like your skills to market and sell, no matter how complex or cool your product is, the end buyer doesn't care unless the end buyer is wanting a technical product. The end buyer will care about the solution that you're selling them. So between two founders who have, for example, one founder has a really complex solution, the other founder very simple, but the other founder has invested in branding and clever marketing and product positioning, I will bet 100% that this other founder who's invested in marketing, no matter how simple their product is going to win. If that other founder with a complex tech doesn't know how to market and sell.
Yeah. Because you could have the best product under the sun, but if people don't know about the product, then it doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
Yeah. So from your and it's interesting that you're doing that education piece, and it's interesting that today your masterclass was also around, okay, how do you actually sell the product as you progress? Because if you look at brands like Kajabi, for example, where they help create the whole creator economy, create courses and so on, they also invest a lot on the whole monetization aspect, because obviously it makes sense. If the creators are making money, they stay on the platform, and then they see that value on the platform. Is not really hosting those videos. That is great, but okay, how do I actually make money? Is that where you guys are also perhaps maybe focusing on? Like, eventually people should be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. We're building a marketplace. So there's no point in teaching people the skills, the technical skills, if they don't know how to monetize from it. From day one, we said we wanted to, there's an old video, a year and a half year old video of us pitching to Sampar. This was our first pitch. And they asked us, are you building a software or like a builder, a no-code platform or a business platform? And we said, no, it's both actually, but we said, no, it's a business platform. People will be able to collect email addresses and remarket and be able to sell and monetize. So we've always had a white labeling solution from day one because we wanted people to monetize.
So now I'm thinking, okay, so ChatGPT has a marketplace. You have a marketplace. Explain to me the difference between, okay, obviously you're helping. Is that the differentiator?
So I love this because the GPT marketplace was our inspiration. The GPT marketplace, you can automatically connect a payment solution within it. So you can't sell your custom GPT. You can collect money from the platform. We have that in place already. And we can white label your custom GPT. So you have your own domain name, your own brand, your own logo. It won't look like Launch Lemonade. It'll look like something. It'll look like plums.
Got it.
And ChatGPT's custom GPTs is just powered by OpenAI's models. We have 23 language models that you don't just choose one. You can choose multiple and run your custom AI tool on different language models without coding, without using their an API key. You just press buttons and type in English.
I love that. And from a, back in the days, and again, back in the
Back in the
days. Okay,
days.
no, but this is really back in the days, I think. Like, I mean, if you look at the App Store, like, so App Store is how many years old? I don't know, maybe 15 years? I don't know, more or less. So it was like, back then, like, there was an app for everything. You believe we're moving into a space where there's going to be like an AI agent for everything?
100%.
And so you think your vision now is somehow that app store for the AI agent?
Exactly.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. And so now the vision is, again, if I'm trying to decipher the code here, so similar, I am not limited to your platform. I am creating everything by myself, but your platform is hosting me so that I can build, enhance, sell, and then the customer journey also sits within your platform.
Correct. That's what we're building. Like we've got early versions of that now. The metaphor or the what I use in my pitches is GoDaddy. You know, like how GoDaddy is a brokerage of websites and domains. We want to do the same for AI agents. Now, the first step is the marketplace where we can host and allow you to sell, and I will earn a commission. But then we want to take that further along the road where we can acquire and sell as well.
Oh, wow. So that's amazing. And in terms of, so now, okay, so what are the use cases that you're already seeing within, I don't know, if there are already people building stuff and if there are use cases and how far you think that use case is going to reach? So are we coming into a place where, you have an AI agent which is completely separate to any platforms that you're using? And I've got, let's say, I'm using 7 different SaaS platforms, and this AI agent now sits and does work across all these platforms and then just makes my life easy. Are we moving into that direction?
We're moving into that direction, but AI agents are not great. An AI agent basically, right now, its most basic forms, and there's so many definitions of it, but in essence, an AI agent is can be built on top of an ecosystem around a language model where it's not an ecosystem, but more like an environment. So a language model with an environment where it can call from a knowledge base, able to call from a memory as well, so it remembers over time, can make decisions. Now that decision can be copy. So for example, it could be based on our previous interactions and based on the knowledge base that I have of your company, your goals, your brand, based on the data that I'm collecting from a Google Sheet, for example, of how we've been performing over the last 3 months. This is what I think we should publish on our social media channels in the next 3 months. Now that is a decision. Now, right now, when the market is thinking of agents, I think we're thinking it'll also post on social media and then it'll just run the entire thing. Now, whilst it's possible to do an automation like that, it's still the agent that can make better decisions at the back of the data and the knowledge base and the memory is just not that good yet. So I just wanted to clarify, if we're thinking that is the only way that'll make your life better by allowing an agent to self-teach, make decisions, and do the whole work, we're not there yet. But if we're thinking an agent that can take 80% of that workload, that can understand your previous performance, that can draw information from your knowledge bases and can remember over time and produce a 30-day plan that you can consider, then yes, that is already possible. So that's one use case that's quite popular, actually.
And you think we're going into the direction where it finally does that final action also for you?
There are instances where it's doing that, but it's just not effective. So for example, blog posting automation, and then you could add now a RAG system where you've got your memory. That's already possible, but I know for a fact that people who are doing that are not very successful at their blogs. So there's it's actually not helping their engagement rates for example, if that was your goal. So I know stories where they've let an agent publish their blogs, but it's not really helped in terms of traffic, for example. So whilst it's doing everything, it's not really effective. But they're happy because they're like, well, it's automated.
Yeah.
So it depends on your goal.
Correct.
Now, if you're thinking, okay, I want an agent where it not only does that, but also learns from the previous post, learns from the data, the performance of the previous post, and then produces a better blog, we're not there yet.
But we are getting there.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Correct.
And you know, just before this, you also touched on how the shift, a lot of people are losing their jobs. I think you mentioned 60-70% of the Gen Z, 75. Wow, that's amazing. 75% of the Gen Z want to become an entrepreneur, solopreneur. What should be people worried or not worried about? I know this is side that I'm digressing slightly, but you see mass layoffs at this point in time. Like, I mean, tens of thousands of people. Do you think it's a direct? Initially, it was AI, but I think as we're progressing in the next couple of years, AI agents are now gonna, I think there's gonna be much more impact because of agents coming in, and companies are becoming that much more efficient, workflows are becoming that much more seamless, and so on. So, I mean, there are people becoming entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and maybe making AI agents, but then you think there's going to be enough room to bridge that gap? Because I mean, every now and again, I see thousands or tens of thousands of layoffs happening, like right, left, and center. And I don't know, it's going to rack up to hundreds of thousands of jobs being lost in the next, maybe even this year or next year. So where do you see, like where are we heading?
Last year, my pitch was 85 billion people's jobs will be displaced this coming year, apparently. I don't know how far off we are from a displacement perspective. So yes, but I don't know if you heard 2 weeks ago, I think Klarna just did a PR that they're actually rehiring at the back of their massive layoffs. So there's that as well. People are I'm working with big clients, big companies right now, actually, from an AI transformation perspective. And people are really looking into how to integrate AI into their businesses. But you'd be surprised in terms of the gaps and the benefits that these companies are seeing at the back of implementing AI. So not a lot of companies who have implemented AI in the past 2 years are seeing the ROI yet. They're banking on it, and they believe by this is from an article I read last week. They're banking on ROI by 2027, but right now they're not seeing the returns yet of implementing AI. Now, AI agents is still at its very nascent forms. We've even seen agents in the market that have actually killed businesses because they let it run their pricing on their platform. So there's a quite popular property related business, and they let an agent move the pricing of the properties on the website, and they actually made huge amounts of losses because they let an agent run their pricing structure or something like that. So one, we're still very early on in the world of agents. So it won't be, I don't think that it will efficiently and effectively replace people in organizations. Now, some people will replace them, but I'm not confident that it'll boost their business right away. Depending on what type of agents they replace humans with, I think. I'm sure there will be tasks that can be replaced by an AI workflow now, depending on the task. So I think that from an ROI perspective, will agents replace human capability to actually help businesses? I don't think we're there yet. Now, but companies may easily make that mistake and do it anyway because they think that it will. And they are.
Yeah.
So to answer your question it's happening and people are getting replaced with AI workflows, but how effectively, it depends on how they implement it. And also, are they just going to let it run by itself? Because I think that a human in the loop is still merited in these workflows.
And I spoke about it just before this. I mean, you and I are in the space, and we're still like just trying to keep up and just catch up with the news, and the things are just moving. Just I don't know, it's just crazy speed. So as a layperson now, I'm hearing all the doom and gloom stories, and people are getting laid off, and AI agents are coming. Before it was AI is coming for our jobs. I think that is gone. I think there's like a 10x. It's just much more than that. AI agents are really gonna actually like they're better, and they'll actually execute on my behalf, and so I don't have a job. So as an individual layperson now, I'm listening to all this news. I mean, what should I be doing? Like, I mean, what should I do? Like, just see how things play out, or is there anything I can do? I mean,
I think that is a really good question to ask yourself. If you're worried that you're gonna not going to be able to participate in this economy, I think it is a time to become entrepreneurial. So if I was a layperson and I had a 9 to 5 job, I'm gonna look at all my tasks and I'm gonna think about what parts of my task can I automate or augment right now with AI. So I'm gonna build a product and sell it to the company I work for. And then I might wanna reproduce that and sell it to other companies. That's one thing that I'll consider doing. And then I'll get a promotion and get paid a lot because I've upskilled. So that's one thing that I'll definitely do now. Second is, how do I grow my personal brand? In the event that I get maybe laid off, or there's no more roles for me, how will I build my personal brand so that if I build a product, I can easily distribute it in these channels? So those are 2 things that I'll definitely do.
I love that. I think I will share this. I will share this exact moment with my team before we even actually take this pod live. Specifically because it's the last couple of days I've actually been having this conversation with our teams as well internally. I think every individual now should proactively start taking stock on what are the repetitive tasks that they're doing, and highlight that to the company before the company
Decide.
decides, because the company is deciding. So it's better for you to come into that strategic thinking so that you are able to show your value and telling the company, listen, 80% of my tasks are repetitive. This is this tool and that tool, which can replace this. So I can now level up and I can do things that are much more valuable for the business. And that is where my true value is. And that shows the business that, oh, wow, like I need this smart person next to me, because now this person has somehow taken themselves out of the job so that they can do something much more important and better for the business, so that the business can go to the next level.
I'll improve that.
Yeah.
So as a business, I will. If a person comes to me and said, "Look, I built these set of tasks are automatable. I built a solution that you can use and resell to the business, extra revenue." That's what I'll do. Now, as a business, I'll recognize this person because they're entrepreneurial and they're a problem solver. So I know that whatever happens to my business, if a problem or an opportunity comes, they're not tied to their skills, because they'll come up with a solution to solve that problem or take that opportunity to add to my business.
I love that. And this is what you need. And I cannot stress this enough for anyone listening, and especially in this day and age where there's a lot of uncertainty. And uncertainty, as we know, causes a lot of stress and anxiety. And then you're just like, it's interesting, people are being laid off. Obviously, there's a lot of stress. But even people who remain, there's a lot of stress. And then there's survivor's guilt as well. It's like, oh shit, like why? Like I took somebody else's job. There's a lot of emotion going on. But I think taking that emotion out and strategically thinking and moving towards that really sets you apart. And from a place where, what is a company? A company is nothing but collective of people. And those people, I mean, you want to be with that set of people. And that is how you're able to differentiate, not only from saving your job, but really adding value to that team. Because ultimately why are agents coming in? Because it's adding value to the team. So here you're also able to differentiate yourself and add value to that core team, and then progress together and move forward.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think times are changing, but change is the only constant, as we all know. I think it's just another agricultural revolution to technological revolution to now AI revolution. And I think, and I don't know if you've heard this stat, but how many of the jobs are going to be lost, but there's so many more jobs that are going to be created which we don't even know of today, in the next couple of years.
Yeah. I'll give you a couple. Memory curator is a job that I will be investing in
Oh, wow.
becoming. For example, how do you create? So agents have a memory. That makes it agentic. Now, what makes it better for them is to use that memory to improve over time. So how do I curate a memory that ensures that it's the memory that the agent needs to be able to be consistently good? I've been talking about this the past couple of weeks, and I think it's going to be a big role. So yeah, and then your knowledge base builders as well.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, just so many things. Like, I didn't even think of that, but I'm like, oh shit, yeah, that makes sense. And there's just so many things that we're not even thinking about now that is going to come. So I think, yes, doom and gloom, but okay, how can we strategically start doing things and take accountability to actually make things happen versus things happening to us? I think that's super important. From a not your business, because you spoke about the next 5-year vision, because there's something that I'm interested in, but from this space, what do you think is going to happen to this space in the next 5 years? Where are we going?
When you say space,
The whole AI language model, agent kind of space.
where will we be? So my vision is that there's going to be ecosystems of brands we trust. So I, for example, will have, if I was a lawyer, for example, I will train my agent now, and I will participate in this ecosystem of businesses or individuals. There might be other legal agents there, but I'm going to be, my brand is going to be well trusted in this ecosystem. And that ecosystem is going to probably run in some sort of, I don't know, it could be Instagram or TikTok, whatever channel is going to be around then. And I think the world's going to be composed of bunch of ecosystems running on agents built by brands, powered by brands, and these agents will transact with each other in these ecosystems. Now, these agents will use signals from available to them to decide which agents to transact with. And that's why you need to build your brands now, so that these agents would have loads of signals from your brand building to trust the other agents and transact with them.
I love that. I can see that happening. It's amazing. I mean, what a time to be alive.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
I can come up with, I'll see
It's just
whatever
crazy.
could be true.
Yeah. What a time to be alive. And it's also great that you have a platform where people can dream and people can have these type of creative type of thought processes within their kitchens and actually have a platform to bring that to reality.
Yeah. A year ago, I met this woman, and she is a legal trainer. Now, she just told me that she built a bot. I helped her build this bot, actually. And it opened up. So we spent an hour building this bot, training bot for a client, and opened up 25K in revenue. 1 hour.
Wow. That's amazing. So I think that's why these type of conversations are so important. People, obviously there's too much information going on, and then there's paralysis by analysis, like, oh shit, like what do I do? But I think that's why these conversations are important, because I mean, if you take a step forward, there are support systems and marketplaces like yourselves where people can actually take action and like really learn and do something about it.
Yeah. Join our WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even have to you can just receive for a
That's
bit
it.
and learn.
Yeah, I love that. We've spoken about the future. Let me take you back into the past.
Oh yeah.
So Cien in Philippines, not knowing what the future is going to be. Obviously, now we're talking about AI agents and everything that you've achieved. What would you tell that little girl in Philippines before she explored out?
I would tell her to take it easy. Like, I was such an emo a kid. Like, I was so dramatic. I was like, I'm gonna live the world. I'm gonna live my life. Like, I was really into, and maybe that was great. Maybe it was good that I was so into my understanding of what life meant, and I really wanted to understand the world, and And but I became too serious about it. Like, I let it run my life. So I would say take it easy, trust yourself, and I love that you like life and you live it. But take it easy, don't be too serious, and yeah, just have fun.
That's beautiful, because I mean, we think and overthink, but the universe is always working in our favor, and somehow the path just opens up, and we do fall into the right place in the right circumstances.
That's so true.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the pod. Thank you so much for building a platform where life is giving us lemon, and we're able to create lemonades through your platform. So thank you so much for that. I wish you all the best, and all the things that we've spoken about, the 5-year and the 3-year mapping.
Yeah.
And hopefully a lot of people benefit from your platform. I think it's not only an educational piece, but it's so important these days, especially that you're helping people create livelihoods in this day and age. So all the best. And hopefully in the next couple of years, we will be able to come back, and we'll be able to talk about all these different AI ecosystem that you spoke about. And that comes to life, and so many other things. All the best. And thank you so much once again for coming to the pod.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you.